All right, how to do, ladies and gents. You are here because of one of these three reasons when it comes to your survey. You're either new to this class, you did not submit your own policy change assignment on time, or you had an error with your own and you don't have at least 20 responses. My survey that I had students complete has lots of responses, and so you're going to have a lot of data to sift through. The first thing I need you to do is actually look at that information. So click on my link to access my survey results. And you're going to see it's a giant spreadsheet, and it has all of the different responses and how people answered each of these questions. And you notice top row is the questions, and as you scroll down, those questions remain constant. You might need to adjust the size of the rows amongst other things, but first you need to make a copy for yourself. So if you're logged in, you can go to File, Make a Copy, and sure, you can just leave the name the same, and it's going to open up a whole new copy for you, and it's all yours, and now you can go in and edit it if you need to. So you might want to make sure that the columns are wide enough so that you can see what the different questions are, if you're going to need to do that. But you have a very specific set of analysis that you need to do. And you're going to notice that if I asked you to count up how many times somebody said, yes, you failed a class, and no, you should move on no matter what your grades are, that would be a lot of counting, having to look at two charts simultaneously, and it could be rather problematic. So first, let's look at the questions that I'm going to be having you figure out. Number one, I'm going to want you to create two charts, and you're going to be comparing the students who said they have failed a class with those who say they have not, in whether or not a student should move on to the next grade level. So if we go back here to this survey chart, you're going to notice that you can click on these little drop-down arrows. And by the way, we need column number C and column number D for this assignment. So if you click on this little drop-down arrow, do you see how there is a sort sheet A to Z? Well, if you click on that, it's going to reorder all of the rows. So all the rows, everything all the way across, like row number 2, can get scooted up and around to be in alphabetical order, but the information that's associated with this timestamp, this email address, this stuff all stays consistent. It just moves around. So right now, this is all in alphabetical order. If you fail a class, you should take it over again over the summer, but only the classes you fail. But then you're going to notice that over here in the D column, these are all still kind of jumbled up. So what you can do is you can actually go and alphabetize this one next, okay? So you're going to notice that all of the no's are all together, and it's breaking it down by how they answered this first question, okay? So everything is all priority alphabetized by no's, and then secondarily alphabetized in the C column. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to figure out how many people who said no answered this question this way. If you fail a class, you do take it over the summer, but only the classes you fail. How many people who said no said nope, you should move on no matter what? How many people said no and yes, you should have to retake your entire year, okay? And then you're going to compare that with one whole chart. You're going to compare that to a second chart that has all the people who said yes, and then how many times they answered these questions. So you might be thinking, oh my gosh, that sounds like a crazy amount of work. However, there's a couple tricks that are going to be pretty helpful to make this a little easier for you. First of all, if you notice down here at the bottom, it has, well, mine says form responses number 1 and sheets number 2. It's because I've already created a sheet, an additional sheet. But if you click on this little add sheet button, boop, it's going to pop up a whole new blank sheet. So this will be a nice workspace for you. So let's get our stuff kind of straightened out. First of all, have you ever failed a class before? No. And have you ever failed a class before? Yes. So I'm going to kind of arrange some boxes here. So here are the responses, and this is if you have failed. Yes, failed. And then I'm going to put some space over here for my second set of these. Responses and no, failed. Okay. So we've got a couple different possible answers here, right? Oops. Let's just leave this gap. I'm leaving a 3-column gap so that I don't accidentally, when I turn these into a chart, pull information from somewhere else. Okay? So let's go back to our responses. Now let's see here. Have you ever failed a class before? No. And the other possible answer was, should you have to pass all of your classes to advance to the next grade level? Okay. So if you fail a class, you should take it over again in the summer, but only the classes you fail. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that. I triple clicked on it, and then I pressed Command-C to copy. I'm going to go back to my next sheet. Okay, so this was one of the responses for both of them, right? Okay, let's make these a little bit bigger. Okay, so how many times did people who said no answered this question this way? If you fail a class, boop, I'm just kind of clearing things up. If you fail a class, you should take it over again. Let's go back and find out. How many people said no? Now you could either count up each of these, or you could do this the easiest way. Make sure you have the top box selected of the people of these possible answers, and then scroll down until that answer changes. And if I press Shift and then click again, it's going to highlight all of the boxes between where I had it selected and then where I clicked again. And if you look down here in the bottom left or right hand corner, you see how it says count 46? Hey, that's pretty convenient. So all of the people who said no, and if you fail a class, take it over the summer, that was 46 of them. So over here, I'm looking for no failed and repeat it over the summer, and I'm going to type in 46. Now you notice how it kind of covered over that other information there. That's okay. It's hiding underneath it, but it's prioritizing the thing that's on top of it. So you're going to have to go back in and count up how many times people who said yes, they failed a class and answered this question this way. Okay? So you can go back to form responses, scroll down until it says yes, and then if you fail a class, you have to take it over again. Okay, so I will highlight those. And that's how many? 13. Go back to the next sheet over, type in that. So what your next plan, your next action, is to go in and find out how many times people who said yes answered the other two possible responses. Again, we have no, you should move on no matter what your grades are. That's one of them. And then the last one was yes, all of them. Copy that. So, paste it in. How many times people said no? How many times people said yes? And this is only coming from the people who said yes, they failed a class. Now when you're done, and you've done this with both of them, you can actually create a chart out of this. Remember how to make a chart? You click on the upper left section of your data, and then you drag it to include, you hold down Shift, and then you click in the bottom right-hand section, so it only includes all of just this information because you don't want anything over here for this chart. Then you'd click Insert Chart, and what you're going to want is you're actually going to want a pie chart. If, for example, this was the responses, it's going to show you an actual possibility for creating a pie chart. Insert a chart, and you see how there's a pie chart. And you notice how each of them has it tells you exactly what it is. Now these numbers are not accurate, so this is not your actual chart. But if you notice, there you go. It creates a chart. You're going to have to do the same thing for people who say no, and you're going to have 2 full charts. Now, one of the cool things about having these charts is that you can actually just directly import them into Google. And you're going to need to do that because in your separate document, you're going to have to answer these 4 questions about those 2 charts that you made. And you're going to have to import both of those charts as well. And I'll be able to show you how to do that. But your task is get this data, and then you're going to go off and you're going to create a whole new document where you're answering those questions.